This is the Unsung Cinematics Podcast, where we review some of the best kept secrets in TV and film. Your hosts, Stewart and Rastislav, present you with a misunderstood movie to see if it deserves the title of being unsung. Hello, listeners, and welcome back to the Unsung Cinematics Podcast after a bit of a hiatus. This would be episode, I believe, 6 of 2025, and we have some picks from, I guess, over the last 3 months, 2.5 months, I suppose, and here we are back for another episode. Hello, Rasto and Ken.
Hello, guys, and
Hello.
I hope your studio is now fixed. We are excited to record again.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I have a new studio, but I do have a place to record, so that's where we're at right now.
Hey,
That's important.
Yeah.
let's rock and roll.
Yep, let's rock and roll, and I believe Ken is up to bat with his greater pick.
Yeah, it's a bit of a hard one to find. That's actually that was actually originally produced in 1987, and it was in. There were a couple of junctures where it was in theaters, but it's just recently come to Blu-ray and 4K from Kino Lorber Home Video. This is the William Friedkin thriller Rampage. The original cut of this was a De Laurentiis Entertainment Group release that was intended to come out in 1987, and I think briefly played a theater in Boston. And it had a runtime of 96 minutes, but DEG went bankrupt, so it was in limbo for a while. It was reacquired by Miramax for a release in 1992, and Friedkin actually re-edited it, and it ended up having a runtime of 91 minutes. It played a few more theaters, but again, it sort of came and went until recently when Kino Lorber, which seem to be the patron saints of these forgotten sort of drama and thriller films from like the 70s, 80s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. They, I guess, got the rights from, I believe the rights holders are Paramount Pictures right now. And Kino Lorber put out a new Blu-ray and 4K, and I actually was able to acquire it, and I watched both versions. And yeah, I'll talk a bit about it. So the 1992 edit was rated MPA, had an MPA rating of R for scenes of strong violence. Overall, the film has a 6.1 out of 10 on IMDb. There was no Metacritic score. I guess there were not that many. It didn't get that many reviews to really form a consensus. The screenplay was written by William Friedkin based on the 1985 novel by William P. Wood, and it was, of course, directed by Friedkin. And the story involves Anthony Fraser, played by Michael Biehn. He is a liberal-leaning prosecutor in the Stockton, California area, and he's assigned to the case of mass murderer Charles Reese, who's played by Alex MacArthur. Who has destroyed the lives of several families and left including children, and left the survivors with, of course, much trauma. Fraser and his wife Kate, who's played by Deborah Van Valkenburg, lost their daughter to pneumonia 6 months prior. And this event, plus his interviews with some of the survivors of Reese's crimes, leads Fraser to feel more inclined to push for the death penalty in this case. And on the other side of the courtroom, the defense lawyer Albert Morse, who's played by Nicholas Campbell, he is, of course, working to establish that Reese was insane when he committed the killings. Even as Fraser and the police relate Reese's home and find his, I guess you would call it, trophy room, which is full of Nazi memorabilia and questionable S&M photos and stuff, and various body parts he sort of saved from his crimes. And his mother, Naomi, who's played by Grace Zabriskie, she protests that Charles is just misunderstood and he used to be a nice young man. As the case progresses in the court, various witnesses tell how he was previously, they sort of reinforce that he was a nice, normal young man who volunteered in the community. But of course, his father was physically abusive of his mother, and this may have been the start of where he went started to follow the wrong path. Along the way, Reese escapes from custody and he continues to prove the assessment wrong. But he is recaptured and judged as Fraser and Morse tried to persuade the jury of their opposing views of the person Reese has become and how society needs to deal with him. And, you know, it seemed there. I've read in a few places that from this film, he had sort of a dim view of using the insanity defense in court to justify or to get people off of out of serious criminal charges.
Yeah.
Both versions of the film are, as I say, are included on the Blu-ray and the 4K, and each has a different ending with a different fate for Reese. And even with the two different endings, it sort of focuses on, well, Bihn's character, Anthony Fraser, is pretty much the protagonist of the thing. Well, they don't present Albert Morse as a total villain. He's just trying to defend his client as best he can. I think the sympathies are more with Fraser, who is, of course, trying to get the death penalty for Reese.
Okay.
But, of course, the film plays a bit with whether it was really the right choice all along.
I'll have to watch this film. It says here on IMDb that it's based on the true story of Richard Trenton Chase, the vampire killer.
Yes, it is.
Who was killed
basically
in 1978, it says. January of 1978.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The Reese character in this film, he has been seeking victims for their blood because he believes his blood is poisoned and that his organs are failing him.
Wow.
And that's why he goes after the victims, because he takes I believe it's the women actually who he sort of harvests their organs and takes their blood, but he takes some of the blood from the children. He admits as well later on. Well, I guess the Reese character thought so, yeah, or he thought it was necessary for his survival. This is where his defense lawyer was trying to create the case for insanity.
Huh. Now, I have a question for you. How gruesome is this? Is it like super bloody and realistic, or is it more toned down?
It's pretty realistically done, yeah. Considering some of the violence that's shown in some of Friedkin's other films, it's pretty matter of fact and pretty. One of the rooms of one of his victims is basically ceiling to floor covered in blood from what he's done. So yeah, it's definitely an R. Well, the original edit was unrated, but both cuts have are pretty strong in their violence and the blood content, and you see some organs being like in quick cuts. So it is pretty gruesome, yeah, in those sequences.
Wow.
So it's definitely for adults.
Sounds like a good movie anyway, but is it comparable with, oh god, now I don't know the name of the movie anymore, but there was this very similar movie about the serial killer.
Well, which one? There's been many.
Yeah, I know, right? It's a quite popular.
Yeah, it's a popular genre. Yeah.
Harry the Killer. What's the name? Harry something.
Oh, Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Yeah, exactly. Is it comparable to
trust
that?
me to remember. Yeah.
That was pretty graphic too, right? So
yeah, it was at certain points. It was, yeah. I'd say it's comparable to that level of on-screen brutality. I saw it some years ago, but I don't remember everything about it. But I'd say that's probably dramatically the superior film. This one, Rampage is still, there are still good things about it. I thought some of the actors did pretty. I thought Biehn and Campbell they did well in the courtroom scenes, but Alex MacArthur as Reese, he impressed me with the most. Actually, I thought he was sort of the MVP because of how he showed how laid back Reese is as he commits and recounts his crimes. And we were just talking about the scene where his attorney and his psychologist interview him, and they ask him how he felt after the murders, and his reply is, "Oh, I was just sort of delirious," as if he won like a tidy sum at a casino or something like that.
Wow.
So what they try to do there, they try not to make him, or MacArthur tried to make him not so over the top as a villain. He's just they try to make him a bit more, I guess you would say, banal or mundane in how he acts.
Yes.
But you can also tell he's sort of sizing people up as he looks at them, like he he sees everyone as a potential victim.
Hmm.
And
Right.
but one of the weird things is how, like, he's out of handcuffs at several points, even while he's in custody, and people sit really close to him, and they're not they seem to not be very worried about him. So I thought that was a little inconsistent. But I thought the courtroom scenes were good, and sort of shifting how the perceptions of how, insanity and the sanity, how to prove them insane and or sane. And
Right.
the whole appearance of the courtroom is interesting as well, because it's not super tidy. It's like a lot of the exhibits are actually piled in front of the judge's bench, which I thought was an interesting detail. It's sort of unkempt looking. It's not like the super scrubbed down courtrooms you see in other films. So I thought that was an interesting detail. Sorry, it's not one of Friedkin's best, but it's worth at least a one-time watch for, just for an examination of, how the death penalty gets treated in courtrooms.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I watched both versions of the film, of course, and there are also digital versions available on Prime Video and Apple TV. And my final rating is going to be 6.5 out of 10.
Oh, well, it's not bad.
Cool.
I had to drop it a little bit because some of the inconsistencies in how they handle Reese's custody, like the escape scene that happens. It's kind of convenient how he gets away, how it's set up. So I thought that was not very realistic how it was handled, but there is one pretty good jump scare when he breaks into a Catholic church and he goes after the priest there and screaming, "Where's the blood? Where's the blood?"
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's not just all sedate, it's not just all staid courtroom drama. There's some wildness
There's a
happening
funny
too.
moment.
So.
Right.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Ken, for that.
So I need to definitely rewatch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'd say it's worth another look. Yeah, for sure.
I'll be probably putting that one on my list as well. And
Sounds
I would
good.
say he's not somebody to want to be a friend with, that's for sure. And that brings
No.
brings us to my greater pick, which is Friendship from 2024. It is an R-rated dark comedy set in modern-day America. It received, at the time of this recording, it had a 6.7 IMDb rating with a 72 Metascore. And it's directed by Andrew DeYoung, featuring Tim Robinson as Craig. He's the goofy tryhard and main character. We have Paul Rudd as Austin. He's the cool weatherman and a bit of a grifter. And then we have Kate Mara as Tammy, which is Craig's wife. And I kind of was enjoying this so much. It's pretty quirky, and it's really just about two neighbors trying to make it through the modern world. It starts by introducing Craig and his wife, Tammy, in a counseling session because she's been basically having anxiety attacks and other social issues, and she hasn't been able to really work out her issues. So they've been going to the support group, and this is kind of like her 10th meeting or something, and she's starting to sort of get back on track. And they're having a discussion. Craig, on one hand, seems to be supporting his wife the best that he can, but he's, like I like to say, he's kind of the born loser. So he's putting his foot in his mouth and doing things that are not really appropriate. His wife was having a serious conversation about how she doesn't get pleasure anymore during sex, but he was kind of like, well, I still do, kind of a thing. So that aloofness that he has in his character. The meat of the plot really starts, though, when his neighbor, Austin, moves in a couple doors down and discovers that he's basically the cool kid on the block. He's a weather anchor for the local TV station, and he's doing the night shift, so he's kind of sort of straddling the line between being cool and being well known. Even though the community somewhat knows him, he's still sort of relatively unknown. And they get to know each other, the two, Craig and Austin. And Austin, being the adventurous guy that he is, decides to sort of take Craig under his wing as his new best buddy. So they do things together. They go into this abandoned sewer system and try to, like, he shows him that there's all these tunnels under the city that you can go to all these landmarks and City Hall and sort of sneak in and stuff through these abandoned tunnels under the city. And they're generally having a good time to start with. Craig isn't really the adventurous type to begin with, and he likes to kind of just sit at home and work. And he works at a sales job at a big tech firm, and no one really likes him there either. He's just kind of like this guy that he does his job and he does it okay and over the top, try hard and a born loser, just like the comic book. I don't remember, or not the comic book, the newspaper comic, The Born Loser. I equate him to a lot like that. After a while, though, this friendship between the neighbors becomes strained because what happens is Craig meets Austin's other friends, and they have this little get-together party at his house, and they decide to have an impromptu boxing match in which Craig is a pretty terrible boxer. So Austin's basically just taking these little jabs at him, and he's not able to dodge or anything. So he keeps getting hit in the face, and Craig gets really mad at this. So Austin's like, okay, why don't we just call it a night, or we'll just stop the boxing for now because he's just gonna get thrown on the floor, I guess, or something. So he turns around and he goes to get another drink or something, and Craig is still being angry from being hit in the face. Sucker punches Austin in the face, and he almost basically knocks him right out on the floor.
Uh-oh.
So this was the defining moment of the film where everything became really strained, and basically at that point, Austin's like, okay, it's time to wrap up the party, everyone out, and all of Austin's friends are basically like, I don't know if I want to hang out with this guy anymore. So his anger got the better of him. Craig's anger got the better of him, and Austin doesn't want to have anything to do with him anymore. But Craig, on the other hand, because he's sort of I guess he's kind of selfish in a way. So he keeps trying to go down to Austin's house and be buddies with him and make up, but the way he does it is really bizarre and questionable. Like, he keeps going more and more try hard, I'll say, and like he's jumping over his fence, and one time he breaks into his house and steals his gun because he thinks the gun is cool or something, and he tries to sneak out, but his wife almost catches him doing this, and his behavior and aloofness kind of becomes very desperate and pathetic. So his attempts at rekindling the friendship eventually land him in hot water with the police and basically everyone else in town. And there's a bit of a standoff between, I'm not going to say a bit of a standoff, towards more of a climax to the film where Craig and Austin are kind of having their final showdown. And it turns out Austin is kind of a bit of a grifter as well, and has this hair wig that he's been wearing all this time to make him look cooler, and he's really kind of pretty much bald underneath. He's got this stray hair and whatever. So this is their little secret together that Craig and Austin are the only ones who know about this. So Craig sticks up for Austin in front of everybody, and there's a scene where they get lost under the tunnel. Tammy, Craig's wife, follows Craig in the sewer. She gets lost down there and has another mental breakdown, and he doesn't really treat his wife like a wife. He treats her kind of like just another person in the house, sort of a thing, like a roommate almost. And I guess that's where the strain of the marriage is. So by the end of the film, there's the friends, I guess, and as the title says, they sort of make up, and Craig makes up with his wife as well because their marriage was struggling. There was some shady things going on. I don't know if there was an affair or not, but it seems like there was, but they never really delve into it that much. So, yeah, I thought it was an interesting film. Some things I didn't like about the film were Tammy's storyline didn't really seem to mesh well with the rest of the film, and she was kind of a mess, but at the same time she was doing this flower business, and it didn't really mesh with her character. And I thought that the impromptu boxing match also seemed like a bit of a stretch, seemingly that getting hit in the face or an uppercut, I mean, yeah, it can be kind of a problem at the time, but usually true friends probably would just work past that, and I thought that was kind of a cheap way to introduce the crux of the plot. Things I liked about the film: cinematography was good. I liked the fact they took an old concept from the Born Loser franchise, I suppose, and turned it into a movie, and the acting was great. Tim Robinson was really good as the main character. He had a very quirky personality and was able to pull off the role. And I like the idea of, eventually disagreements can be overcome if you work at it. All in all, I think this was a fairly decent movie, so I'm going to give it a 6.9 out of 10.
Nice. It sounds like
Sounds
a
good.
moral tale or something.
Yeah,
It's
it's not super moral in a way. It's kind of more of a secular moralism, but I mean, it touches on it. Like, it's not one of those older films where they really paint black and white, but this film is sort of more gray. Like, people are going through life and, they're just trying to do what they do, and that's about the extent of it. So, I mean, yeah, they touched on it, but it wasn't the central theme.
So it sounds like this is you hear a lot about toxic masculinity these days. It almost sounds like this is a bit more measured out.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say they're focusing on that at all. Really, it was just just played out like it played out. There wasn't any hidden agenda as far as I know. Maybe there was, but I didn't catch it. So.
Well, no, it sounds like they actually tried to craft a decent story out of it and not just, as you say, throw agendas on the screen.
Yeah, exactly.
It sounds like they actually made an effort to do a narrative to it that's actually
made sense for the most part. Yeah,
made sense. Yeah. Okay, very good.
All right, so I would say if you're in for a dark comedy or a dark drama, then this would be probably a nice Sunday watch.
Nice.
Sounds good.
I definitely check it out. Yeah. Thanks, Stu. It's my turn. And I am a real jazz buff. I came across this really nice and rare documentary movie called Louis Armstrong's Black and Blues. I'm saying that very slowly because I was rehearsing. It's very hard to pronounce those words quickly. So obviously it's about Louis Armstrong. It was done in 2022, directed by Sacha Jenkins and produced by Sarah Bernstein and again Sacha Jenkins and et al. Duration is 104 minutes, and it was produced by Apple originally. And he has quite a nice ratings on also on Rotten Tomatoes. It's 98%. IMDb is 7.4. So yeah, it's the main protagonist of this documentary is Louis Armstrong, and basically it's a rare footage of the original Louis Armstrong's interviews as well as his comments, and they also dug out through his notes because he was very besides being famous for obviously for his music and his singing. He was also famous with very meticulously taking notes every day. So basically, they went through his notes and they made this nice documentary about the basically we can call him the very first pop, popular music king, I would say. So basically, from his way how performing the songs and the music, that was actually that gave the basis for the all the modern music's coming forward basically up to now. Another important thing when they asked Miles Davis what's the definition of the jazz, he said four words are definition of the jazz. It's Louis Armstrong and Charlie Parker. So basically, we have this very
Right.
nice documentary about the really huge musician with the gravelly voice and very high pitch trumpet. So he was very good trumpeter and vocalist. He was never out of tune. His trumpet. Many people were trying to mimic his way of playing, but they simply couldn't.
Mm.
It's not
Yeah.
so easy the way how he played trumpet with the high pitch. Basically, the documentary is the montage of interviews with himself, plus with the contemporaries, his contemporaries, his wife, the Lucille, his last wife, and also some footage from his house. I think his last residence was in New York, Queens. It was nice because besides the his history of how his music was developing throughout the times, because of course he was active till the late 60s and I think even beginning of 70s. I'm not sure right now. I don't want to say something that is not true. But besides that, there was an in-depth look into his basically into his opinions and to his soul. You know, uh, his stance during the segregation, his stance during the black movement during the 60s with the death of Dr. Martin Luther King. And many
Right.
people, they were saying that he was too quiet during those times. Like they wished he would be more loud about those hard times. But he was saying that he was really kind of keeping this inside him, but he was really angry, even though this his typical personality is always smiling and very cheerful on the stage. But his motto, I would say, was the show must go on. Simply, don't, no matter what. So basically,
Right. Right.
he was God given to be the performer. So his only worry was to perform, and he would only really carefully be touching these kind of sensitive topics. On the other hand, his contemporaries said that sometimes when he opened himself, they could really say that he was really pissed when with all that bullshit that black people had to go through. So he
Right.
was actually very sensitive and figure, and it was not only about music. According to those notes he was writing and some moments when he was opening himself, then it was clear that obviously he was really disappointed how American people were treating the black people and especially the black musicians and all that sad things that went through all the black musicians during the segregation and then also the later later years after segregation was abolished, basically. So really nice. If you guys like this guy, I mean, who doesn't like him? Come on, man. I mean, everybody likes Louis Armstrong. Check it
Yeah.
out. It's really nice, in-depth view on this genius. Even if you don't understand jazz, check it out. It's really nice. You know. So I would
Yeah.
really recommend this documentary to everybody.
All right.
And my rating is 8 out of 10.
Ooh,
Very
nice.
good. Yeah. Well, I played trumpet for a bit back in public school, and it's not an easy instrument. I'll tell you that much. I mean
It-
the
It's not.
best part.
It's
I
not.
think the best. I was best at emptying my spit valve. That's about. I guess I wasn't a terrible player, but
Right, right.
yeah.
I can.
Nice,
But
nice. So
yeah,
even more, guys, check it out. I really
yeah.
recommend.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Nice. That's our greater picks. So we're going back to Ken for Clint Eastwood pick, I suppose.
Yeah, I do recall saying when we talked about Cry Macho a while back, I do remember mentioning juror number 2 that I would get around to talking about that, and that's what I'm going to do now. Juror number 2, a 2024 release from Warner Brothers with a runtime of 114 minutes and an MPA rating of PG-13 for some violent images and strong language. Right now it's sitting at 7 out of 10 on IMDb and 72 Metacritic score. It was written by Jonathan A. Abrams and directed by Clint Eastwood, of course. It involves Justin Kemp, who's played by Nicholas Hoult. He's a Savannah, Georgia-based magazine writer, expecting a child with his wife Allison Cruson, played by Zoe Deutsch. It's a high-risk pregnancy, and his desire to be there for her is jeopardized due to his being selected as a juror for the trial of former gang associate James Scythe, who's played by Gabriel Basso. And who is accused of killing his girlfriend after they had a fight at a local bar about a year earlier. The prosecutor in this case is Faith Killebrew, who's played by Toni Collette, who sees this case as a springboard to land an appointment as a district attorney in that area. As the facts of the case are laid out, Justin realizes that he alone knows that James is in fact not guilty. As the deliberations begin, he tries to convince his fellow jurors to consider the facts fairly, even though they are being swayed by Scythe's earlier associations and the behavior he displayed, borderline abusive behavior he displayed at the bar when he and his girlfriend had a fight. One other juror, a retired detective who's played by J.K. Simmons, and whose status wasn't discovered during the jury selection because he was never asked about it, he deduces that Saya's girlfriend may have been a hit and run victim. Along the way, we also learn that he's had problems in his past that led him to take an action that sort of brought him near to the events of that fateful night. And he consults with his lawyer friend Larry, who's played by Kiefer Sutherland. And the pressure is on Justin as he tries to convince his fellow jurors to not sentence Scythe without considering all the facts and at the same time protecting himself and his family. Now, I appreciated how the Justin character was trying to do right by Scythe, knowing that his own past is not perfect. But unfortunately, and there's a lot of the first I'd say about 3/4 of the film is kind of examines this pretty well, how he's sort of trying to navigate in the courtroom, or as in the jury deliberations, I should say. Unfortunately, the ending of the film didn't really work for me. I'd say about the last 20 minutes, you can sort of see that they've written themselves into a corner as to how Justin will be able to navigate all this. And I would say that his character takes the easy way out in regards to how he and the other jurors reach their verdict. For most of the runtime, the balancing act that the Justin character has to pull off held my attention pretty well. But yeah, as we went into the final act, the story sort of, I guess you would say, decelerates and asks the audience to buy one pretty big contrivance or contrived act before an ending that sort of leaves you hanging as to what the final outcome will be. I'd say it's still worth a one-time watch for some of the acting, we were talking about that before, Rasto. J.K. Simmons, I thought, was really pretty good in his role.
Right.
And
Yeah.
the actor Cedric Yarborough, who played Marcus, he was very skeptical of Scythe. I thought he did. You mentioned him, Cedric Yarborough as well. I thought he was pretty good as well. I also thought Gabriel Basso did pretty well as James Scythe. You could tell he was sort of a wired tight sort of guy who was in fact not guilty, but he knew that his
Right.
past was going to work against him. So yeah, some of the acting I thought was quite good to watch. Nicholas Holtz, yeah, I think his accent, it seems sort of a generic American accent. It didn't seem pretty specific to Georgia. Never having been there, I can't really say, but yeah, I sort of agree with you that like Simmons and Yarborough and Basso were probably some of the better actors, I thought.
Yeah, definitely. All the actors were kind of forgettable, like after seeing basically, I don't remember some of the characters at all, So basically,
Yeah,
uh, the most highlighted actors were just like you said, and the other ones, I
right,
think, very weak. Yeah.
right. Well, like I say, it's still worth a one-time watch for, because there are also questions raised about how jurors can be led by their preconceptions and, the family obligations they need to get back to after after the trial is over. That it sort of leads them to sometimes maybe a verdict can be rendered that isn't totally impartial. That's examined fairly effectively as well. But as I say, don't be prepared. If you do watch it, be prepared to be let down by the ending.
Mm.
Yeah. So
It seems to be a running theme with Clint Eastwood films. I watched another one called, was it Hereafter? And that one, the ending wasn't quite up to par either.
okay. Well, I haven't watched that yet. I did manage to find a copy of it at my local Salvation Army thrift store, but I haven't watched it as yet. But I'll have to compare notes with you on that later on.
Yeah.
But not
Yeah, but
he's done.
it,
Yeah.
well, it's kind of suitable for Hereafter to have open the ending, but in this movie, it's not
Yes.
really something that fits to this kind of movie, right? This
Mm.
kind of movie,
Yeah. Yeah.
this is core drama. You should have
Hmm.
basically the clear conclusion of the story, not like this,
Yep. I
and
agree.
Yeah.
it's not the type of movie, you know.
Yeah, and like I say, they do a good job. Yeah, at first.
Yeah, well, many people are bashing this movie because of the ending, basically.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that much about it. I haven't really looked into that many other opinions about the ending of the film, but it sounds like it's becoming a general consensus. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Yeah.
It is what
So,
it is.
yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I watched the Warner DVD. It's also available on digital platforms. My score, I'll be a little bit kinder to it than I was to Cry Macho, so I'll give it a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely worth seeing once, but not one for the collection, I would say.
Right. Okay.
No, definitely.
Unless you
This
can
is not a
find
rewatch.
it for
Yeah.
$2 at the thrift shop, right?
Well, I
cents,
mean, I
yeah.
actually checked it out for my library, so
Okay. $2 or
I don't-
$1 from the library.
All right.
well, if they put it on their sales shelf, yeah, maybe then.
Okay. Sounds good. All right.
Sorry, Mr. Eastwood, I couldn't grade this one much higher.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that, Ken. And that'll move us on to I guess it's a lesser pick. I don't know what it is technically, but
When you said you were going to talk about this one, I was a little surprised, but I'm looking forward to this.
Okay, well, this would be a me, Tyler, and Ken movie that we go and watch together. And,
yeah, for the yucks.
Yeah, this is called The Toxic Avenger from 1984. It sounds as bad as it is, really, I guess, but It's rated R, 6.2. I'm gonna get through the specs as quickly as I can just to get going here. But 6.2 out of 10 was the critic scores, and it's a B horror. We'll just come out and say it's a B horror action comedy directed by Michael Hertz and Lloyd Kaufman. And the main character is Mitch Cohan as the Toxic Avenger, which his other counter half is Melvin. Wanda, who is his loving or live-in girlfriend, played by Jennifer Baptiste. Now, Toxic Avenger is, I guess it's supposed to be a spoof on early, I don't know, comic book films or something, but anyways, from the early 80s, I think this is one of those movies that puts B-movie horrors on the map. It's kind of like a genre of its own where it's so ridiculous that you can't really classify it in other things. So the Toxic Avenger is about a crime-fighting superhero vigilante that will stop at nothing to take out the scumbags and protect his smoking hot blind girlfriend from all the bad criminals in the town, including the mayor. His journey starts as a pimply-faced teen working at a health club as a janitor, and he basically looks like it in the film, and he's really skinny and completely nerdy, like you would see from those other nerdy films of the time. And he's a loser by all regards, and everyone... Yeah, he really is. They played it up pretty good where he was just, like there's no middle ground here. He was just right off the wall nerdy. Everyone picks on him and makes fun of him, but not for long, because after his local bullies play a prank on him for wearing a pink tutu and thinking he had a shot with the local cute girl, which was actually a girlfriend of one of the other kids that were playing the prank on him. So he gets all upset, and he ends up falling out of a window into a truck that has vats of toxic waste in it. And you're probably asking, why was there toxic waste sitting in barrels outside of a health club and exposed with no lids on it? I don't know, but I guess that's what makes a B movie a B movie.
It's a trauma movie. You don't ask why.
You don't ask why. It just is. Okay. He is horribly disfigured, and everyone becomes scared of him. And his role as a Toxic Avenger, when a local gang decides to terrorize a fast food joint, that he steps in and saves the crowd and his new girlfriend, Wanda, who was about to be raped by some hooligan. And the thing with her is she's actually blind, so she can't see how horribly disfigured he is. She just goes along with it and says, hey, this guy, he feels big, he's all muscular now, and he's wearing this I don't know, what looks like spandex the whole time. I don't know why, but I guess that's just budget constraints, but painted on spandex. And so he takes her, and they have this little love affair, and they end up living in this little shanty shack in the middle of nowhere, and she's none the wiser of where they're living. She's trying to keep the place clean, even though she's blind, but it's really quite like a garbage dump or something. So he's going around, and he doesn't have much self-control, so he's basically just going after anyone and anyone who is basically slights him in any way or slights his girlfriend in any way. And there's lots of dismembering, bludgeoning, disemboweling, and otherwise head-crushing justice. So he loves to go on he loves to, this is very blood and guts movie. He goes on many rampages, and I would say you could call this the Toxic Rampage Avenger even, because he's really just out of control in many situations. But if somebody's nice to him, then he's like, oh, I gotta take care of you and whatnot. So he likes to take out the trash, literally, on all the thugs, and with vigilante justice. So as things go with this film, I would say this is pretty much a B-horror classic, over-the-top tomato sauce and using everyday weapons. And I think there was a coffee or a espresso maker or something that was used to drill into someone's head or something ridiculous. But I would say the effects were at times very decent, but at other times they were painstakingly bad that it came off as hilarious. So, yeah. So not only, I mean, this is a pretty cheesy film that you kind of have to appreciate it for what it is. You can't go into this thinking it's a real horror film. There is a number of sequels to this film as well. I can't remember if I watched the second one or not, but if not, I will be doing that. And there's actually a reboot in 2023 starring Peter Dinklage, and there is some cameos with Elijah Wood. Kevin Bacon is playing the villain, and so on. And I definitely need to go watch that to see if it lives up to the classic. So I think I will be giving this 6.5 out of 10, even though it was really really terrible movie in some ways. It deserves 6.5 just for how ridiculous it is.
Well, when bad movies are done well, they're pretty memorable, and this is one of those, I think.
Yeah, exactly. It's comparable to maybe Dog Soldiers or something like that. It's on that level. Yeah. It's maybe better than Dog Soldiers.
I think Troma has always been sort of known for, creating, as you say, very over the top, storylines and such, but they also sort of weave in the social commentary in a sort of a sly way. That's sort of their trademark, at least the ones that are stuff like Toxic Avenger and Romeo and Juliet and Poultrygeist.
Right.
So
I can't say I've seen those ones either. So maybe there's a whole subgenre of films I need to start going through.
Pretty much anything with under the Troma label. I mean, it's sort of hit and miss, but a lot of their stuff is kind of along those lines, very over the top, but not
for the faint of heart, because it's pretty brutal. I'll say.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't recommend.
You have to be in a certain frame of mind.
Do you think it is comparable with Peter Jackson's Dead Alive?
So, say again?
Dead Alive, Peter Jackson's early stuff like Bad Taste and Dead Alive. Yeah, I would say pretty. It's definitely along the same lines. Yeah. Maybe a bit more of a North American style of filmmaking or viewpoint, because Peter Jackson's stuff is pretty New Zealand centric in terms. I mean, it was still, you could still understand them, but a lot of the humor was sort of centric to his region. But they are comparable in terms of the content, I would say, definitely.
Yeah, well, then I definitely have to watch this.
Yeah,
I think you'll get a kick out of it.
I don't think it really matters when you watch it. It's going to be entertaining, to say the least.
Yeah. Nice. Good stuff. So let me conclude this round with a little bit more serious genre, which is the detective story or crime drama / mystery. So nobody complains we don't have any kind of Canadian content, but we do actually. This is the TV series called Three Pines. It was released by Canadian television, I guess, or whatever, or studio. The whole series was shot in Montreal, Quebec, and surroundings. And basically, it's a really nice crime drama, which I was really enjoying. It's only 8 episodes in one. There is only one season, basically. The whole season is concluded only with the 8 episodes, and it's about this small village in close to Montreal, and the story or the series follows Inspector Gamache from Stewart du Quebec. It's some provincial police, or let's.
I think you mean Sûreté du Québec.
Sûreté du Québec. Okay, sorry.
I think that's pronunciation. Yeah.
Pardon my French, right? And
not like I'm much better.
And it's kind of like a FBI, right? Like inspector, he's very intelligent, very intellectual guy. He used to study in Oxford and comes to this small village somewhere in the close to, I guess, close to Montreal, and they basically live there in some kind of hotel. They set at the offices in some local gallery of some aboriginal lady, and there are actually two stories in tandem. Like there are two parallel plots. Basically, one is about the
Right.
crimes in within the community of this little village, and another story is the two Aboriginal kids being killed by someone. I cannot tell who, obviously, because the series is from 2022, so you still have a chance to check it out on Netflix or Prime Video or HBO or whatever streaming services you got. It's really there is this nice. It's very different from typical American series. There is this nice, calm and tranquil, I would say, an atmosphere. It's very different. There is no even the main character. He's played by Alfred Molina, the famous octopus, right? and
Yes. Yeah.
uh,
And other stuff as well.
and other stuff as well. Of course, I'm just mentioning that
No.
he
Well,
was very
yeah.
funny on the
Spider-Man too. Yeah.
Spider-Man. Yeah, it's very nice and tranquil. Like I said, I like the cinematography. I mean the nature close to that Quebec region. It's very nice. They have lots of pines there. White pine, green pine, and whatever. All kinds of types of pines, and the woods
Yeah.
are beautiful. And also there is this aspect of small communities. Everybody knows everybody. They have all kinds of nasty secrets. Nobody wants to come up because basically you don't want to talk about your neighbor because you need to live with him or her for the rest of the life. It's not that easy like in somewhere in Toronto or
Yeah.
Montreal.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can just disappear. In some other, but in these small communities, you have to be really smart to you know to kind of untangle the all those secrets from people. You have to be really smart, and you have to really dig. So from that aspect, this mystery series are really different from all the other similar genre TV series from, let's say, from US origin. And I was really enjoying the guy. There is mixture of English and French. So you probably, if you don't speak French, you need some subtitles. Besides Alfred Molina, there is a bunch of actors I never seen or never heard. They are mostly Canadians, I guess. There's this Rossif Sutherland and all kinds of other names I cannot even pronounce. And there is also some Aboriginal cast, obviously. A bunch of, I would say, francophone, part of Canada actors and actresses. So it's really nice, guys. Check it out, and it's basically something from Canada, so it should be interesting for you to have a look.
Nice.
And my rating is 7.5 of 10.
Ooh, another
Not
high
bad.
high score.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's really good.
Nice.
Great. Thanks, Rasto.
Yeah,
Cool. So that
no
pretty
problem.
much,
Check it out.
yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. But I think you had one more meh.
Yeah, I have one more meh mention, and that is Russell Crowe's recent movie. It's from 2024. It's called Sleeping Dogs. It's kind of now I'm gonna use Stu definition of the meh movie. It's kind of not good, not bad, just whatever. But I think it's worth a watch just to see Russell Crowe, because obviously Russell Crowe is excellent actor. You know, he's genius actor. He's really good. He plays this ex-cop who suffers with Alzheimer. So his memory kind of he's got condition. His memory kind of tripping all over the place, and he wants to figure out who. It's kind of like who done it, suspense mystery.
Mhm.
It it would like to be Gone Girl style of movie, but it's very far from that. I think the script wasn't done so well. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw Gone Girl with
Yep, I saw
Ben
it.
Affleck.
Yeah, I've seen. Yep, I've seen, and
Yeah,
yep, and
yeah,
Rosamund Pike. Yeah, I saw. Yeah, I saw. I
yeah,
caught it a few years ago.
Hmm.
Yeah,
yeah.
pretty wild stuff, but it was well done.
It was well done. And this movie, Sleeping Dogs, it's kind of trying to be something like that on that style, but the script is weak. I still recommend you guys to to check it out. It's if not for if not for anything else, at least to see Russell Crowe, because he's really great, and he was doing his best, but the script is weak. So that's why I said it's kind of meh mention.
Meh, meh,
Thanks.
meh. All right.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Thank you, Rasto. And I believe for our next full-length episode, which we're going to try to record as soon as possible, I suppose, is Twixt, right? Right.
Yeah, we're gonna do Twixt, and
that's your pick.
we're gonna enjoy it. Yeah,
Okay.
that's my pick.
And after that, I don't know if we'll get another off the record in beforehand, but then we'll have our annual, somewhat around New Year's episode with Tyler. Probably another Japanese
Right.
pick. So,
Right.
Cool.
all right. Thanks everyone for coming on. Thank you, Rasto, Ken, listeners, for putting up with us
Thanks, everyone.
and the little bit of a
Yeah.
downtime we had there. So take care, and you have a wonderful viewing experience.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Meh. The Unsung Cinematics podcast is produced by Rastislav and Stewart Rathje. The statements in this podcast are the opinions of the hosts and not necessarily a true statement or literal fact. You can find us on Substack at unsungcinematics.substack.com or listen to us on your favorite podcasting app. Copyright 2025.